Hey, so I know you're not who I'm expecting. I know I'm not who you're expecting. In fact, I know I'm not expecting because I don't do that. But what I do want to know is why the hell does everybody hate my show? Can somebody just tell me this, please? I don't get it. Why do people hate my show? Okay, just trying to keep things a little bit light here, and had a Batwoman on my shoulder that wanted to talk about things. You got that off your chest? No, I see that you don't. Anyhow, I'm so disrespectful to plastic figures. At least I'm not cutting their heads off. You got to grant me that. I just tossed her off my shoulder. She's fine. Trust me. A couple of show notes. Want to get out of the way first. First of all, thank you for all of you tuning in. I am RJ Carter. I am managing editor here at criticalblast.com. And we always appreciate you coming by. Even if you're coming by for the repeat broadcast, that is absolutely fine. Secondly, I want to let our listeners know that tomorrow night, author Stephen Mitchell of Bulletproof, the first YA superhero novel from Critical Blast Publishing, he will be live tomorrow night on Matt Rice's show, The Matriarchy, discussing Bulletproof. I will be there as well, just kind of talking about the process of making a book and going through the publishing of it, what it takes. So we hope that you'll come over and pop in and say hi to Matt and say hi to Stephen and I. If you can't make it here, make it there. So now I'm going to pop off the headphones because I don't need them. I'm not talking to anybody else on here right now, am I? Somebody pops in, and if you want to pop in, let me know. We'll be glad to invite you on to talk. I don't know what you'd want to talk to me about or what you'd ask me. If you have questions that you want to ask me. Sometimes people walk up to me and just ask me a question. I don't know what prompts them to do that. A few things that are going to be coming up in reviews on the websites here. These things come in seasons and cycles, and we have stuff to watch. So this one just went up today. This is the 25th anniversary of The Swan Princess. This is a great little cartoon. This is sort of like by some of the people who worked on The Little Mermaid, and you can definitely see that influence in it. This is from Sony. This is not a Disney one. So Swan Princess, it's the story of Swan Lake, set to animation and music. I think, plenty of little girls out there who would love this kind of princess. If they haven't seen it already, it is 25 years old. This is the anniversary edition Blu-ray. It's just very, very excellent quality production. The next one you're going to see from us, because we just finished watching this last night, is Blinded by the Light. This was an excellent little story. A Pakistani kid growing up in England during the late 1980s in an environment of very rampant racism and Nazism, like marching in the street Nazis kind of thing. And he finds solace and wisdom in the lyrics of Bruce Springsteen, whom he idolizes throughout the film. There's a lot of Bruce Springsteen music put into there. I'm seeing a lot of films lately that are sort of telling a story based on a musical artist. Obviously, Rocket Man was the story of Elton John. That was autobiographical, but it was this phantasmagorical musical that was just beautiful to watch. Then there's Last Christmas, which is a story shoehorned around the least Christmassy Christmas song there is from George Michael. And that one is, don't go see that one. We panned that one. And then you got something about Bruce Springsteen, which is actually watchable and is not just a straight shot, but there are moments in here where it's truly this magical realism where he steps out of the movie and into a music video, in and out like that. It's very cool. It's kind of a unusual take. I haven't seen something like that done before. Guy who directed this is the same guy who directed Bend It Like Beckham. So if you like that film, you'll probably like this film. And now we're into the stuff that I haven't seen, like Dora and the Lost City of Gold. We're going to be watching this one. My son used to watch the Dora the Explorer shows when he was 3 and 4, and now he's 12, and we saw the trailer for this one in the theaters. And he's like, I want to see that one. I'm like, thought you were outgrew Dora. He's like, yeah, but this is a movie, and she has boobies. I'm like, dude, you're 12. And like, I think she is too. But I'm not going to try to enforce gender norms on him. If he wants to be a boy, I'm going to let him be a boy. Angry Birds 2, the movie. I have not seen Angry Birds 1. I really hope I don't have to watch that to catch on to the plot. I think it's one of those situations where the title of the movie gives you sort of a mini movie in your head. Angry Birds. So they're just birds that are angry and yelling all the time. The pig seems happy. Pig has a beard and he's green. I'll give it a watch. I don't know what I'll think of it. And then this one just came in last night, Official Secrets. This is based on a true story. And that's all I'm going to give you right now. So it's a sort of a spy mystery novel thing. We did have some come in today that I did not bring down here to the Critical Blast Cavern. Deadline, the complete series, which is a bunch of 1950s mysteries and action stories ripped from the headlines, where the reporters are the heroes of the stories. And also Aliens, Ancient Aliens, season 11. Looking forward to getting into that one and hearing probably 372 times ancient astronaut theorists say yes. So that seems to be something you'll hear a lot when you're watching that series. All right, so on to the topic at hand. I don't watch a lot of television. I watch a lot of phone. And there are series out there that sometimes I don't get to see them until they come to DVD, and then I binge through them if they come with a digital code. So I watch them on my phone. And it crossed my mind that there were series out there on HBO that I wasn't watching because I don't have HBO. The reason I don't have HBO is because I don't have TV. Now, don't get me wrong, I have TV. I have cable. I don't have access to TV and cable because I live in a house with other people and they are normal people and they don't watch the same shows I do or the same shows I would. And then it struck me that I do have HBO. I just block it on all the boxes because I don't want the 12-year-old who's into things turning it on in the middle of the night and finding even more boobies. So I do parent. You got to do your job as a dad. So I got the Spectrum app on my phone and realized that I can now on demand some HBO. So I've been binging some things. And the thing I've been binging is Watchmen. Now, I have heard a lot of cringe reports coming from Watchmen. And I went in here, steeled against it, knowing that, oh, I'm going to see white people evil. I'm going to see, black lesbians. I'm going to see the whole SJW trope of, this is what's going to be in a film these days or in a movie these days because this is who's making them, and just be prepared for it. I didn't get that. I will be honest with you here. I have watched the first 4 episodes now. I owe Tug $25 for a trademarked Tug glove. I like it. I like what I'm seeing on Watchmen. And it took me a second to remember that the world of Watchmen was technologically advanced in the 80s because of the presence of Dr. Manhattan. So the fact that there's 2019 and some higher tech going on here, that doesn't bother me at all. The fact that we're starting off with new characters like Sister Knight doesn't bother me because she is a police officer. I think it's a very interesting take to see that there's a philosophy that the police can go masked so that they can't be recognized and tracked down by other people. Now, in the show, this is sort of based off the fact that the vigilantes did this. But I think in real life, it's because Antifa does this. They go out wearing their, face masks. Anonymous does this with the whole Guy Fawkes masks. So why wouldn't law enforcement have some sort of masking mechanism? It's just another method of being undercover, only broadly applied. Now, what I don't understand is why the majority of the police force just wear sort of a yellow pull-up over their mouth and a hat, so that they're just kind of open here. And a handful of the police officers are full-blown superhero costumes. Some of them are better than others. The Red Scare, for instance, he's Russian. He's the Red Scare. I like that. He's wearing a red ski mask. Looking Glass. I think Looking Glass is a pretty fancy name for a guy who talks the way he does, but just because he's talking like a redneck hayseed, if you listen to some of the things he's saying, he is an educated person. He chooses to keep the dialect he does. And then, of course, Sister Night, who is dressed like a nun. Not quite sure why that's a theme for her, but it's what she does, and she goes out and she kicks butt. It's a slow start. I don't know that Robert Redford is still president when he was elected in the 80s, which would be like 30 years. And I think they've even referenced that he's had a 30-year administration. So they've obviously repealed the 22nd Amendment. And there are things called Redfordations, which is sort of a slur for what was apparently reparations. Reparations got paid, and if you sort of reference them as Redfordations, then you are looked on as a racist. There are a lot of racists in this show, but that's because you're focused in one area where they're operating. And it's a Klan offshoot, and they have decided to adopt the Rorschach masks as their totem, so to speak. It doesn't mean that Rorschach was racist, or that they even think Rorschach was racist. I think they've just adopted a mask, and the only thing that's Rorschach-y about it is that they are counting down to something. There's a tick-tock, tick-tock going on. And they are Watchmen because they're collecting watch batteries. They're the old outlawed batteries that caused cancer, so they're building a cancer bomb of some kind. Now, there are parts of Watchmen that I don't understand. I do not understand the squid rains that they get, where just every once in a while the sky opens up and little baby squids rain down. We're told this is a dimensional storm, that there's a rip in the dimensions and that these squids come through. And I guess that's because in the book, the giant squid that destroyed New York was from another dimension. But the thing is, it wasn't. There was no other dimension. There was no Dimension X where aliens were invading from. That was the whole point, was that they were made to believe there was a dimension and that they had a threat. The alien squid monster was biologically constructed on an island. It appeared because Adrian Veidt had reverse engineered Dr. Manhattan's abilities of teleportation. So he took it from the island onto a ship, into a warehouse, and then teleported it into the middle of New York. So there was no dimensional breach. So why is there a dimensional breach now raining squids? That's just something that is sort of, well, this is part of the world we're in with Watchmen. It's one of the things that maybe there'll be an explanation for it, maybe not. I don't know. By the third episode, that's when things really start to pick up. In the third episode, we are well into seeing Adrian Veidt imprisoned wherever he is. He's got to deal with the game warden, who we suspect may be Dr. Manhattan. We think pretty sure that the prison is on Mars, and that it's sort of like Superman's Fortress of Solitude was in Kingdom Come, where it looked like this pastoral field of 40 acres and grass and streams, trees, and there's a border to it. And if you cross that border, then he can't cross the border, and he's trying to. He's trying to get out. He's harvesting little babies from a stream. He fishes for them, and he grows them to adulthood in an incubator, and they are his servants. He's got a male, he's got a female, a butler and a maid, so to speak. And he uses them for experiments, and they die, and he gets another one and brings them in, and they mature very quickly. They get speech patterns very quickly, and they know that they exist to serve him as the master. He's firing them off in trebuchets and watching for when they disappear in the sky. He's building pressure containment suits for them to wear and try to go out beyond the breach to see if they survive. They don't. But, he keeps trying. Adrian Veidt's a very smart guy, so he's inventing lots of different things with what he has on hand and available. We know that Dr. Manhattan is supposedly on Mars, and there are little communication booths set up all over the Earth where you can go in and, for a certain amount of credits, make a phone call to Mars, and you're told that Dr. Manhattan is listening. Whether he's listening or not, I don't know. I don't know whether this is really connecting to him or whether it's just sort of a religious dial-a-prayer kind of thing. But one of the people we see using it is Laurie Blake. Now, Laurie Blake is Laurie Jaspetchik, who apparently did not become Laurie Dryberg. She didn't marry Night Owl. And Night Owl is in prison for vigilante activities. So she's taken her father's name, Edward Blake, the comedian, and she's become an FBI agent. She's a very high-ranking FBI agent, and she is part of a task force that takes down vigilantes, because even in the world after Watchmen, there are still people who put on costumes and try to take the law into their own hands. So she is part of the group that catches them and arrests them and puts them away. Now, I mentioned that the police mask up and do this. I should point out that this is only done in Oklahoma. This is a localized thing, a localized event, and it's sort of experimental there. Now, she is being sent to Oklahoma because the police chief there has been murdered, and she's, because they are vigilante police officers, they want Laurie Blake's take on it. The way that Laurie Blake's character is played is very interesting, and if you watch it, she's much more like her father now. She's the comedian. She tells dark jokes. She finds bleak humor in everything. Very few people in the world, I think, if you were to drop a car from the sky and had it hit the ground 3 feet behind somebody, most people would scream. She just turns around, looks up in the sky, and just starts laughing. So it's very, I like it. I like this Watchmen story. It's not an adaptation. It's a continuation. It's a potential future of where things could be. I think there's still a lot of history that could be filled in the intervening 30 years, how we got where we are, why we're where we're at, rather than just kind of getting it filtered in drips and drabs from the outside. But I think we give it a little bit longer, it will grow on us. It's certainly grown on me, and maybe it's because I binged the thing in 4 episodes rather than watched an hour and waited a week and then watched another hour and waited a week. It's something that I think goes better in bigger chunks. So I'm going to take a brief break here and go out to the Twitters and let the world know that we are here. Oh, rumor has it Gail Simone has been unplugged cold turkey from her Twitter account. Do they make a nicotine patch for that? A dopamine patch for addiction is all I'm saying. We are live. Damned autocorrect. We are lube. That's another show entirely. There is no lube involved in this show. You're fine. You can sit down. You bend over with impunity. https://www. This is primetime television, folks. .com/critical blast. Boom, 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 boom. All right, there we are. There we go. What else is new? Oh my gosh. Sad news from John Lehman. This year, my mom died while I was at PhoenixCon. My cat fell deathly ill while at MaltaCon. As I gear up for the Singapore Con in a couple of weeks, I'd like to welcome into my family Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, Lindsey Graham, Tucker Carlson, and Sean Hannity. What's the matter, John? Did you run out of characters in your tweet to include the rest of the GOP? Okay. Gosh, his mom and his cat. That's some equating. That's some fine equating you got going on there, John. Okay, on to the next show. Batwoman. Batwoman's another one where I hated the show before it even came out because I'd seen those god-awful trailers. And Lord love a duck. That whole "it will be when it fits a woman" and not letting a man take any credit for what a woman does. By the way, I didn't see that second line in the actual show, so I think they might have excised it. I did see them, still talk about the perfection of the suit when it changed. And because of those trailers, I really thought we were going to be getting something horrible, something preachy, and basically Supergirl dark. I'm glad to see that so far we haven't. Now, we got a little bit of that in the beginning. We got a lot of Kate's self-centeredness. I think she's grown as a character. In fact, by the end of the episode, she had her mission. She wasn't trying to outdo Bruce any longer. She was still using his stuff, but she wasn't trying to steal his shtick or steal his identity. She was trying to offer hope, and she was trying to use the equipment to find her sister. Now she's leaving diary entries for Bruce to read later on, perhaps assuming that he'll see them or that she'll pass on or die in this mission. But if I had one complaint about Batwoman, it wouldn't be that it wouldn't be about the politics of it. That's for sure. They are what they are, but they're mixed enough that it's fine. I think they definitely wanted to push the sexuality aspect because of Batwoman being a lesbian, and they were trying to get some identity into that. So that's going to play a part, particularly because she's got this jilted lover who jilted her, Sophie, played by Megan Tandy, who basically, when Kate got caught in the military academy being gay, was kicked out, and Sophie did not step up for her or say, "Hey, me too," or "Yeah, it's us." She basically deserted her, and then went on to marry some dude. And now that she's, Kate went off to do her Find Me mission and get trained in the art of becoming Batwoman before she knew that's what she was really doing. Now that Kate's back in her life, we don't see much of Sophie's husband anymore, and we see a whole lot of Sophie stalking Kate from the sidelines or now even directly. And Sophie has pretty much shown that she knows who Batwoman is. The Batwoman is Kate, and she may or may not do something with that information. But the biggest complaint I have about Batwoman is It's really, really, really forcing the Lewis Carroll onto us. I mean, the fact that Alice had a henchman named Chuck Dodgson, uh, Charles Dodgson, the actual real life name of Lewis Carroll. Uh, I could dig that she might be able to dig up a guy like that and have him be her henchman. But the fact that he was actually one of the crows first, and that was just how he was there and entered her life, that's a little too much of a coincidence. I mean, what, we're going to find some people named Tweedle and have a pair of twins now, and one of them be dumb and the other one be dumber? I don't know. Point being, Batwoman is, by and large, a watchable show. It doesn't dwell in the identity. It pushed the whole "I'm going to have relationships" kind of thing, basically as a setup for the fact that she discovers that if she's going to do what she does, she can't have those kind of relationships. So that they end in heartbreak because she has a mission, and the mission comes first. She learns that Bruce had to do very much the same thing. He could not, enter a relationship with somebody because Batman was the priority. This last episode is probably the best episode of the series so far. It was a sort of a one and done whodunit murder mystery, finding an identity of a killer, tracking down his motives, getting a step ahead of him and stopping him, and then finding out that there was other things going on. This is where we meet the Executioner. Now, the Executioner was that was more than just his vigilante name. That was his job at Blackgate Prison. And through this episode, we find out that we get drops and hints of Gotham City luminaries. One of them being Oswald Cobblepot. And we know that sometime during the past, Oswald Cobblepot ruled over Gotham, as a mayor, or perhaps during a no man's land kind of period. Maybe not. They're going to just kind of say it was the entire Pax Penguina that we saw in Gotham. Maybe Gotham happened here, and it's kind of just jumped forward however many years to Gotham City now in Batwoman. So maybe they're going to rely on that series for history. I don't know. Maybe anything can happen. They're both Warner Brothers properties. We get that. We also see the first murder victim of the episode is a prominent prosecuting attorney who was notable for having put away Jack Napier, aka the Joker. So we're getting Jack Napier as a reference again here. Jack Napier being the name the Joker used in the 1989 Tim Burton film with Michael Keaton as Batman. So then again, now maybe it's not based on, not going to follow up Gotham. Maybe it's going to be a mishmash. No way to really tell. until we get 10 years into the Batwoman and they finally bring Batman back, or maybe sooner. It could happen. We went how many years in Supergirl? Not very far. We're not very far now. Just feels like it. Before they brought in Tyler Hoechlin as Superman. So it's very possible that if they needed to save the ratings or boost things up a bit, that they might in a year or two bring in Batman. It's less likely, I think, because Supergirl was operating in her own city, National City, and Superman was Metropolis. Batman would only operate in Gotham City, which sort of throws the whole current storyline out of whack anyway, because there's no way he would ever abandon Gotham City. And yet, in order for Batwoman to work, he has to have abandoned Gotham City. It was the only way Birds of Prey worked 20 years ago, was that Batman had abandoned Gotham City and nobody knew where. So, Huntress and Oracle and Black Canary were able to do their thing, except that they weren't Huntress, Oracle, and Black Canary. They were just, no costumes and kind of sort of doing their thing, and Catwoman was a metahuman because Huntress had slightly augmented abilities. Anyway, Batwoman, not as bad as you've heard. Watchmen, not as bad as you've heard. There are other CW shows that I've been watching and keeping tabs on. I'll be checking into Riverdale in about an hour here and watching that through. Riverdale is a weird one. I watched the very first episode of Riverdale when it premiered in its first season, and I was aghast at what they had done to the Archie characters. I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I thought it was going to be, if not a complete sitcom, then at least Dawson's Creek light. I was not expecting mobster capos, serial killers, brainwashed cults, and I'm not quite sure where this season's going, but the storytelling device now is showing the end of the season in 30-second segments at the end of each episode, and what it's looking like from the get-go is that Archie, Betty, and Veronica were present and or participated in the bloody death of Jughead. So that's definitely keeping things apace. It's like an attractive nuisance is what it is. It's like a train wreck. You have to look at it. And the longer you look at it, the more you want to look at it, and the deeper you want to look at it. So I have not missed an episode in 4 years, and I'm not going to start now. The CW series that's new that I am disappointed in, that I kind of had hopes for, was Nancy Drew. Now, Nancy Drew is, of course, the girl detective series from Carolyn Keene, sort of a spinoff, or not a spinoff, but a parallel storyline to the Hardy Boys. Not that they really did it with the books all that often. They did crossover later on. The television shows, with Parker Stevenson. And, I can't remember her name now, the original Nancy Drew. She was actually a cameo appearance in the pilot episode of this Nancy Drew series. So if you know her, watch for her there. Nancy Drew is supposed to solve mysteries that look like haunted houses and spirits and monsters, and sort of like a one-girl Scooby-Doo team. And that's what we've got going on in Nancy Drew season 1 here, is we do have this whole haunted storyline going on here. The town has a legend of dead Lucy. The woman who's died in the first episode may or may not have been murdered, may or may not be haunting somebody. And that'd be great if it was all may or may not, and we knew that somewhere along the way Nancy's going to trip over the clues and tie it all together at the end, because she did it when she was a little girl. And the cops hate her now because she's, a grown woman. She's college-aged, working as a waitress, and still apparently working the mystery angle. But the problem is that we, the viewers, now know that the haunting is real. We've had one of Nancy's friends possessed by a ghost. We've seen fog coalesce and choke people. Dark Admiral Marcher, good to have you on board, sir. We're just talking how bad TV shows are actually good TV shows, and good TV shows may actually be bad TV shows. I'm down to Nancy Drew here, and I'm thinking Nancy Drew is bad TV show. I did not want Nancy Drew to actually become Nancy Boo. It's Nancy Drupernatural, I guess, because we're going to have another show with ghosts and goblins on it, since Supernatural is now on its way out the door. What is that, 15 years? That's a pretty good run for a show like Supernatural. I've not watched a lot of it. I think the only episode I really watched was the Scooby-Natural episode, where they crossed over with the Scooby-Doo team. So, to recap, Watchmen, worth watching, but binge it. Don't take it in chapters. Batwoman, not nearly as bad as people expected it to be, and has been improving. So ratings should start reflecting that. Riverdale, attractive nuisance. It's the train wreck you can't take your eyes away from. Nancy Drew is totally different than what you know nothing about Nancy Drew. Well, you won't find out anything about Nancy Drew by watching the series. I'll tell you that now. But she was a very long-running show. Well, she was a long-running show back in the early '80s. But the book series, it's sort of like the Hardy Boys for girls at the time. Any gender can read the books. Anyone can enjoy them. Don't get me wrong. Just saying, it was intended originally as a gateway for girls to get into crime solving and mystery solving, so that they had, that there was sort of an I can do this too kind of thing. In the '80s, there was the Parker Stevenson, Sean Cassidy, Hardy Boys, and then they had Nancy Drew, Pamela. Darn it, cannot remember that actress's name. Played Nancy Drew, and it was Scooby Doo is what it was. It was like, gosh, here's this, somebody's been framed for a murder, or this house is haunted and the people have left it vacant so that the developer can come in and scoop it up for a song. Oh, look, he's not really haunting it. He's got a projector and things on strings. But like I said, now Nancy Drew has proven it's got actual possessions going on in it, real hauntings, and it sounds like her father might have had something to do with the murder of this legendary dead Lucy who haunts the town. So that's the show, folks. Those are the 4 shows I wanted to talk about. I need to rescue my poor Batwoman, who introduced the show. Say goodbye, Batwoman. Bye. Put her down there so I can look at her all night. Oh, dug a few more things out while I'm trying to clean up. Might as well just show them off here before I hang them. A good friend of mine got me this for my 50th birthday. This is an Alex Ross print. His working of the Jay Garrick Flash. One of these nights I may sit down here and actually broadcast with my Jay Garrick shirt and cap on. Yes, I have a World War I doughboy helmet that some poor man probably died wearing, and I have shined it up and put it into, painted it silver. And then I got the Batman Masterpiece Edition, which I seldom opened. It's got an old school Batman figure in there with a batarang tucked into his belt. I like that old symbol on it. Whoa, nearly dumped the book out. That would have been not so great. Reproduction of the Batman #1 comic in it. I used to buy these things all the time. Then I started getting these things in the mail where people wanted me to send them money for stuff that I didn't know I was buying, like electricity and water. So and those things kept coming, so they stole my money away doing that before I could start buying cool comic stuff again. One of these days they'll quit, and then I'll be able to start doing cool stuff again. Anyway, we are at the 40-minute mark. Riverdale is on in 55 minutes. Tune in tomorrow for the recap. We'll have up on that in our regular Pep Talk series, and we hope to see you again tomorrow night on The Matriarchy. That will be Matt Rice's channel, where we will be talking with Matt, Stephen Mitchell, and I about his novel, Bulletproof, and the writing process that he went through and the publishing process we went through together, learning the ropes on how to produce a book and get it out there professionally under our own imprint with our own ISBN, and just what it takes to do that and how we're going to continue doing that. So everybody, thank you for coming by. Appreciate you. If you like this content, check the description below. Be sure to subscribe. And if you want to help the channel, we have links of many ways you can do that. Take care.